Hi guys. So, I like to listen to both the Manosphere and the BWE, Black Women Empowerment Space. Like, if you listen to my content, you'll notice that I listen to all sides of it. And I am supportive of good things and not supportive of the bad things that both sides do. And what is good and what's bad is basically my personal opinion. I have no basis in it other than my personal opinion. Now, one of the things is that there has been this series since maybe in the summer, late summer, where Cynthia G has been asking this question, should black women birth black males? And, for a while, I thought that the argument went sideways because then there was a discussion of abortion and all of this stuff. And, when it went into that, it became more like a joke rather than reality. But I wanted to take this question very seriously based on the fact that I think, she and Nyla have been asking this question, I think, for almost 6 months now. And, I think for the large part, I don't think they have gotten a correct answer. And I think that I will give my opinion on my answer. So my answer is this. I live in Canada, a democracy. We do not live in anywhere that you can decree to anyone what it is that they can do, who they can birth or who they should not birth. So if you're asking a question, should they, it seems like a theoretical and a purely academic question. It doesn't seem like a realistic question. If you're asking a realistic question, then you should be asking a personal question to a woman. And that woman, let's call her Jane Doe. Jane Doe, should you birth black children? Now, if you're asking a personal question to Jane Doe, the mere fact that you have, over 1 billion black people, so therefore there must be over 500 million black women around the world, each woman will have a different answer to that question. Now, I would say that if I was a black woman, and I don't have to go too far. I mean, my wife is a half black woman. My daughter, she's 3/4 black. My 2 sisters are black women. And, this is what I would say. If I was advising my daughter, I would say, listen, you have to, in deciding to have a child or to get married, these are very serious life decisions. And to make those life decisions, you have to use all the available information you have to see, hey, is this a decision for the long term? Because a marriage is for the long term. And in making those decisions, you'll have to figure out if that mate that you have is suitable and someone that you can share a long life with, someone that will support you, someone that you can get along with together, agreeable. And if that person is if that person happens to be black, white, Asian, or Native American or Hispanic, that will be your preference, or that will be, based on the situation. But that's not the most important thing to me, because I don't think love or commitment or even, safety has a color. Because as we said, there are over 1 billion black people, there are over 8 billion other people. 7 billion other people. And if you look in your neighborhood, you choose correctly, you could probably get a high percentage person who will be that person that will stick around and have commitment. And so for me, I am not in the business of telling people what they should do or what they need to do. I'm in the business of telling people what I see around me. Now, to be very open, both my sisters have 3 children, both of them. And I have 2 children with my wife, right? So between us, we have 8 children. And, my parents come from, my father has 9 brothers and sisters. And my mother, she has 8 brothers and sisters, right? So we come from families of, large families. And, I think that one thing that I think the Black Women Empowerment Space has to understand is that they're making proposals to women and the women who are listening to them. And many of the women who are listening to them already have children. And many of these black women already have black children. So their message must be to younger women. And in younger women's situation, these younger women have to make their choices, and no one can make those choices for them. And their choices have to be for the long term, because, fall in love with someone because they have swag or they have style, that's that's a recipe for heartache. You have to fall in love with someone that, and I don't even like to use the term love. You're making a commitment to someone that is stable, someone that will support you, someone that will take care of you. So my answer to the question, should black women give birth to black males, is that depends on who it is they're with, right? If they find a white man who is lovely and will take care of them and all that, then they should have a baby or a child with that person if that person is committed. If it's a Asian person, same thing. If it's a black person, same thing. It's always conditional, because I think we focus on race too much. And I think one of the things is, I want to think that as human beings, what we're looking for is someone to share our lives with. And we're doing the natural things that animals do, that we share a life with someone else, and then we procreate, and our existence is through what we through who we procreate with, and who we procreate to. So I think that right now the answer to that question is, should black women continue to give birth to black males, is conditional on, can they find a suitable mate, and if that mate is a suitable mate is of a different race, yes, they should have continue. If that mate happens to be black, yes, they should continue. So it's always conditional on the mate that they can find. Now, my big thing is, there is something larger behind that question, and what's larger behind that question is, should black women be loyal to black men? And my answer to that is no, absolutely not. Individual women should find the best man for the job. And that means it could be any race of men. And the same advice I'd give to black men too. Because what I want people to do, and I'm just saying this in my own life as I see it, is people have to make individual decisions. Some people have preferences, and I believe our preferences are right. If you have a preference to you like dark-skinned women or you like light-skinned women, that's your preference. That's your personal preference. It's same thing with a woman. If you like this and you like that, that's great. But what we always have to remember is, my preference is probably to be a millionaire, but my reality is, can I be a millionaire? And so people have to temper their preferences in terms of the laws of supply and demand, right? And if you're being demanded by your preferences, then you're lucky. If you're not in demand by your preferences, then you have to think about settling. And settling is always going to happen. So as I said, I think that this question, open-ended question, is good, because it's something that is an intellectual exercise rather than a practical exercise, right? And my thoughts are, if we were king and queen and we ruled over people and we decreed over people what they should do, then I think that in that situation, then this question would have a lot of weight. The mere fact that we cannot decree over anyone, and the BWE space needs to understand its power. It can't even stop dark-skinned black women from going on Fresh and Fit. It can't stop black women from calling to Kevin Samuels. It can't stop many black women from living their lives, right? And the same thing with the Manosphere. The Manosphere would love if men would stop simping. And the mere fact that OnlyFans is continuing to go on as it is, and the mere fact that someone on Instagram shows a little skin, a woman shows a little skin on Instagram, and suddenly she has 2.55 million male followers, shows that the power of the Manosphere is very limited also. What people are having right now is just an intellectual exercise, and it's good because it's good for thought leadership. And in the thought leadership, I think what the BWE space is getting to the conclusion of, which they don't want to say, is choose better. All women need to choose better, because it's by the choices that women make that men actually try to live up to. So if the most demanded women require that their mates are, men that are successful and come with plans and all of that, then men will do that. But if the requirement for men to sleep with women, is simply that he has swag and style, then men would just start to have swag and style. And so women have a lot of power in that way. They have power to the bedroom, men have power to the commitment. How it worked in the olden days is that the only way you got to the bedroom is if you came with commitment. And it's because society has devolved to the point of hookups and hookup culture and all of that stuff, that has lost a lot of power. And so I don't know if society can have a reset, but what I can think of is every person can have their boundaries and their choices, and women should exercise both, and so should men, because in the end, if we want a healthy society, it will be built on people getting married, taking care of their children, and helping those children to become educated and productive people. And that's the way that I see things going forward. But how will that be achieved? I think that's achieved with both men and women raise their standards, and both men and women work on themselves, both physically, gym, exercise, all of that, and financially by building their careers. And that's the way I see it. So that's my answer to it. Should black women continue to give birth to black males? The answer is conditional on, can a black woman find a suitable black mate? If the answer is no, then no. If the answer is yes, then yes. Thanks, guys.